This is Viraswamy working as an assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. We are going to discuss that mobile communication system subject. The topic is given here, the fundamentals of cellular radio system design. So here in the last topic we have discussed the limitations of conventional mobile communication system as well as the uniqueness of mobile radio environment system. Today we are going to discuss the fundamentals of radio system design. In this topic, and the slides are prepared by referring the textbook, that is Mobile Cellular Telecommunication. The author is William C. Y. Lee, and the publication is Tata McGraw Publishing Company Limited. So here in this today's topic, the first topic is the concept of frequency reuse channels. So the concept of frequency reuse channels. So the concept of frequency reuse channel is nothing but the adjacent cells assigned different frequencies to avoid interference or crosstalk. So here the concept of frequency reuse channels are nothing but here the adjacent cells are assigned different frequencies to avoid the interference or crosstalk. So here what is interference and what is crosstalk and how the adjacent cells are organized. So here for example the shape of the cell is hexagonal. This is one cell. And the base station here in the cell, each cell have its own base station. So here the adjacent cells are nothing but here the nearby cells. For example, here I am taking the cluster. In that cluster, 4 cells are available, right? Already we know that 4 cells are available. I am taking that is n is equal to 4 cells. So here the adjacent cells are assigned different frequencies to avoid interference or crosstalk. So here what is happening, for example here this is cell 1, cell 2, cell 3 and this is cell 4. These are, for example, this is cell 1 is there, the adjacent channels are 2, 4 and 3 are the adjacent channels to this base station or this cell. So the concept of frequency reuse channels are nothing but here these all the base stations are all the cells. For example, here 4 cells are there. These 4 cells are of the same frequency band. Then what happened? The same frequency band is there. Then automatically the user is connected to the nearby cell channel or nearby base station. So then automatically the interference will be reduced. So this is the concept of frequency reuse. So the objective is to reduce the frequency in nearby cells. So the concept of frequency reuse channels are nothing but here. The main objective of the frequency reuse is nothing but here to reduce the object is to reuse the frequency nearby cells. So here for example here 10 to 50 frequencies are assigned to each cell. So here for example I am taking this one cell. For this cell I am assigning nearly 10 to 50 frequency bands. So then what is happened here, for example a user is connected to one frequency band, then automatically another user is connected to another frequency band. So then automatically the interference will be reduced, right? And the crosstalk is reduced. The crosstalk interference is nothing but the mismatching of the user data is overlapped or collide with each other. So to reduce the interference, we are doing the concept of frequency channel. That is frequency reuse channel. So the transmission power controlled to limit the power limit to that frequency escaping to adjacent cell. So it means that the transmission power control to limit power that at frequency escaping to adjacent cell. So what is happening here? For each cell we are assigning nearly 10 to 50 frequencies. So what happens here? The transmission power control to limited power that at the frequency escaping adjacent cells. So the issue here the main issue is to determine how many cells must intervene between 2 cells using the same frequency. For example here the 10 to 50 frequencies are assigned to each cell. So the adjacent cell, when the user is moving from one place to another place, then automatically the channel is also changed, the frequency band is also changed. So here in frequency reuse channel, the strategy, the main objective, that is the main issue here is to determine how many cells must intervene between 2 cells using the same frequency. That is the main reason, the main problem here in concept of frequency reuse channel. So here just now we discussed that each cell have 10 to 50 frequencies. So each cell is allocated to a group of K channels. I am taking here the K is nothing but group of channels. So here channel is also nothing but a cell. So here the cluster has n cells with unique and disjoint channel. So here in frequency reach channel we are taking as a cluster. The cluster is nothing but two or more, or the number of the channels are the cells, are the channels are group. The group of cells is called as a cluster, right? So here the cluster is nothing but here the cluster has n cells with unique and disjoint channels. So the groups total, how can we calculate a cluster? The cluster combination here is we can calculate, that is 4, 7, 12 group of cells are called as here. For example, the group of 4 cells is called as one cluster. The another cluster formation is here the 7 cell formation cluster and 12 cells formation cluster. So these all are called the cluster numbers. So the total number of duplex channels, already we discussed that duplex is nothing but what is duplex. So here duplexing nothing but the way of transmission of data from one place to the another place, or base station to the user or user to base station. So that is called as the duplexing, right? So again we discussed that the types of duplexing, that is simplex, half duplex and full duplex. So the simplex, half duplex and full duplex are coming from the FDD and TDD. So these are the FDD, TDD is nothing but frequency division duplexing and time division duplexing. So the simplex, half duplex, full duplex are based on the frequency division duplexing and time division duplexing. So already we discussed that what is simplex, what is half duplex and what is full duplex. But here the frequency division duplexing and time division duplexing also we are already we discussed the topics. So here the number of duplex channels are calculated by S is equal to K into N. So already we know that the K is nothing but the each cell is grouped K channel. So here each cell is allocated a group of K channels and N is nothing but here cluster number. So how many cells are allocated to each cell, that is called as here the total number of duplex channels. For example here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7. So here this is a cluster. The cluster is 7 group, 7 cells combination is called as here 7 cells combination cluster. Next, so then how can we calculate the system capacity? So how can we calculate the system capacity? We design a system here, then how to calculate the capacity of that system? So here the S is equal to K into N, right? So K is nothing but group of channels K and N is nothing but number of cells in the cluster. So that is system capacity. So again here a cluster repeated m times in a system. In system capacity measurement, cluster repeated m times in a system. Then the total number of channels that can be used, the capacity can be calculated by K. C is equal to m into Kn is also written as m into S. So already we know S is equal to nothing but Kn and m is nothing but here the cluster repeated m times in the same system. So then we can calculate the capacity of the system, that is the capacity C is equal to given as m into S or m into Kn. So m into Kn, Kn already we know that the duplex number of channels, that is K into N. K is nothing but a group of clusters and N is nothing but number of cells in the cluster. Clear? Next. So the interference and system capacity. So already we discussed what is interference, then how to measure the system capacity. Then here the interference and system capacity, here we are going to discuss that the co-channel interference is crosstalk form. So here the co-channel interference is nothing but here the crosstalk is also called as the interference. The interference here is nothing but here co-channel interference. So here from two different radio transmitters using the same channel. So I am repeating, for example, two channels are two cells are there. These two cells are using same frequency band. Then automatically these two are adjacent to each other, right? The cell 1 and cell 2 here. These two are co-channel and these two stations are, these two base stations are, these two cells are using same frequency band. So here the crosstalk from the different radio transmitter, the same channels are connected to, the user is connected to the two channels simultaneously with those two channels are using same frequency band. Then the co-channel interference can be caused by many factors from the, so here I am repeating, the co-channel interference can be occurred due, according to the our discussion here. The co-channel interference can be caused by many factors from the weather condition to administrative and design issues. So the co-channel interference may be controlled by various radio resource management. So I am repeating here, the co-channel interference or crosstalk is from mainly different radio transmitter using the same channel. The crosstalk or co-channel interference be occurred by two different radio transmitter using same channel. I am repeating here, two different radio transmitter. For example, this is one transmitter and this is another transmitter. These two transmitters are using same frequency or same channel. Then only the co-channel interference or crosstalk will be occur. So to occurring of this cross co-channel or co-channel interference or crosstalk, the mainly the reasons are weather conditions to administrative and design issues are the main factors to influence of the occurring of the co-channel interference. So here the co-channel interference may be controlled by various radio resource management. So here the interference is the major limiting factor in the performance of a radio cellular system. I am repeating here, the interference is the major limiting factor in the performance of a cellular radio system. Because of here, to increase the system capacity, to reduce the crosstalk or to improve the system capacity here, the major factors are here, the interference is the major factor here. So to avoid the interference, to improve the system capacity, we have to take some steps here, that is to reduce the co-channel interference as well as the adjacent channel interference. So the power control reducing interference also we are going to discuss that. So again, once see here, the interference is the major limiting factor in the performance of a radio cellular system. How it is that the major bottleneck in increasing the capacity as well as the responsible for the dropping the calls. So here the dropping the calls, to avoid the dropping calls, we already discussed that the handoff technique, the handoff strategy introduced to avoid the dropping of the calls. So I am repeating again, the handoff mechanism is introduced to overcome the that is the co-channel interference as well as the adjacent channel interference. So what is handoff then? The handoff is nothing but here the mobile unit is moving from the one cell to the another cell or one channel to the another channel, then there is no call drop, that automatically the user is connected to different frequency band in the different base station region. That is called as the handoff mechanism. So the major two types of system generated cellular interference are, that is co-channel interference as well as adjacent channel interference. Then in adjacent channel interference case, signals in nearby frequency have components outside their allocated ranges. I am repeating here, the adjacent channel interference case, signal is nearby frequencies have components outside their allocated ranges, and these components may interfere with the ongoing transmission in the adjacent frequency. So I am taking here, this is one base station and here it is another base station. Then see here, the adjacent channel interface case is signal in nearby frequencies have components outside their allocated ranges. For example, this is the range of this base station and this is the range of this base station. The coverage radius or coverage area of the base station. This is base station 1 and this is base station 2, and this the dotted lines are here, that is the coverage area. So what is happening here, the signal in nearby frequencies have components outside the range allocated range. For example, the allocated range is this one only, but the frequency of the components outside of this allocated range, and these components may interfere with the ongoing transmission in the adjacent frequency. So what happens, for example, a user is connected to this base station, then the transmission is, the data is transmitted here and the data is transmitted to the base station. The automatically after leaving this adjacent channel, the coverage area, then the component may interfere the ongoing transmission in the adjacent frequencies. It can be avoided by carefully introducing the guard bands between the allocated frequency ranges. Then only we can reduce the interference of the channels or reduce the co-channel interference. So here the co-channel interference sometimes is also referred to the narrow band interferences due to the other nearby system using same transmission frequency. The co-channel interference is also referred as a narrow band interference because of the nearby system is using the same transmission frequency. Next here, the intersymbol interference is also type of, this is also one type of interference where the distortion is the received signal is caused by the temporal spreading and the consequent overlapping of individual pulses in the signal. This is the co-channel interference as well as the intersymbol interference. The co-channel interference is also called as the narrow band interference. The narrow band interference is nothing but due to the nearby system is using same transmission frequency, that is co-channel interference. So the intersymbol interference this is also called as an interference due to the distortion in the received signal. It is caused by the temporal spreading and the consequent overlapping of individual pulses in the signal. Then the co-channel interference here, the cells is the same set of frequency allocated channel cells, and the interference between the signal from these cells is called as the co-channel interference. So it's the correct definition. So now we have discussed the general discussion of the co-channel interference, but here the exact definition of the co-channel interference, it is the cells using the same set of frequencies are called the co-channel cells. I am repeating here. I am here 1, 2 here 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here 4 cells are there. These 4 cells are using same frequency band. Then these are called as the co-channels, and the interference between these channels is called as the co-channel interference. So the thermal noise here is nothing but unlike the thermal noise which can be overcome by increasing the signal to noise ratio. So what is thermal noise here? So when a mobile unit is using, when a mobile unit is moving from the one cell to the another cell, a noise is added to the message signal, that is called as the thermal noise. So when the thermal noise which can be overcome by the increasing the signal to noise ratio. So here signal to noise ratio, when we are decreasing the value of signal to noise ratio, then automatically the thermal noise will be reduced and the co-channel interference can be also be reduced. So here to avoid to reduce the co-channel interference, we have to reduce the signal to noise ratio. When we are reducing signal to noise ratio, then automatically thermal noise will be reduced here. So this is the co-channel reduction factor. So how to identify or how to decrease the co-channel interference? This is the one of the factors. So automatically when we are decreasing the signal to noise ratio, then automatically the co-channel interference will be reduced. So this is because the increasing the carrier transmit power, increase the interference in neighboring co-channel cell. I am repeating here. Just now we discussed that because an increase in carrier transmitter power. So the thermal noise, when the thermal noise is added, when a mobile unit is moving from one cell to the another cell, the noise is added to the message signal, that is called as the thermal noise, right? So to increase the carrier transmitted, so here the carrier here, so when the mobile unit is moving, the data signal is also moving from one place to another place to connect the nearby base stations, then the power increase in the interference neighboring the co-channel cell. So to reduce the co-channel interference, the co-channel cell must be physically separated by minimum distance to provide sufficient isolation due to the propagation. So the co-channels are nothing but the nearby cells which are using the same frequency band. Those are called as the co-cells. Then are co-channels. Then the interference is occurring between those co-channels or co-cells, that is called as the co-channel interference. So to reduce the co-channel interference, this is the one of the factor, that is to decrease our separation minimum distance to provide to the nearby co-channel. Then automatically the co-channel interference will be reduced. Then the co-channel cells for 7 cell reuse. So we are discussing that the frequency reuse in co-channel cells for 7 cells. So we assume a cellular system having a cell radius. So this is one cell and here it is another cell. We have images, but before going to that we will discuss that. Right. The cell radius is R. This is the cell radius R and here it is also R. Then the distance and the co-channel distance from this cell to this cell, this is the distance D. And the cluster size is N. So N is nothing but here we can take 4, 7 or 12 I am taking another cells here, two cells here. Right. So this is a cluster, 4-channel cluster or 4-cell cluster, and we are taking the radius of each cell is r, and the distance from this one cell to another cell, that is d, and we are taking n is nothing but here the cluster size, and the co-channel interference will be dependent upon the power. Then the co-channel interference, the function is calculated as q is equal to d by r. Already we know that the d is nothing but distance from the one cell to the another cell, and the r is nothing but the radius of the each cell is called as the here. We can calculate the co-channel interference of is a function of q here. So here the q is nothing but here the co-channel interference reduction factor. So then how to reduce the co-channel interference reduction factor? That is, the q is given as d by r, the distance between. So just now we discussed in the previous slide, that is, to minimum distance we have to maintain between those co-channels for the better isolation and better transmission, then automatically the reduction factor will be reduced, right? So then the co-channel interference reduction factor is q is given as d by r here. Then the q is nothing but co-channel interference reduction factor. The higher value of q means here the less introduction. So for example, I am taking q is equal to 4 and q is equal to 0.1. Then the higher value means here the higher value, the q is equal to 4 means less interference will be occurred here. Then automatically then the distance by r. So here the r value, the radius value is greater than the distance of the each cell, distance between those cells. Then only we can get the higher value of the co-channel interference reduction factor. If the less value, the value q value is less, then the high interference is there. The low value of k means high interference. So q is also related to the cluster size. So how cluster size here? Q is equal to 3 and that is given as d by r. That is the to calculate the co-channel interference reduction factor, that is q is equal to d by r. Just now we discussed that. See here. So here cell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So just already we know that the cluster size of each cell here, the cell size or the cell number of cells in each cluster is given as n is equal to 4, 7, 12. Assuming we are taking the value, standard value, that is n is equal to 4, 7 and 12. And we are taking example as here the co-channel interference for 7 cells reuse we are discussing, right? That's why I am taking n, the n value is equal to 7 here. And see here, this is one cell. For this cell, this is the radius is r, and the distance from this cell to this cell, that is given as d, and the distance from here. So already this value, this r value is added to this complete distance here. Then here, this is outside of this cell. That's why this the value is d minus r here. So I am repeating once again here. We are going to discuss d minus r and d plus r. So d is nothing but here the distance between one cell to the another cell. Then what is the d minus r? See here. I will explain here. Then see. The base station of this cell is available here. This is the base station. I am drawing once again here. This is the base station. Sorry, this is the cell, and this is the center point, and this is the radius. And the base station is available here, and the distance from this cell to the adjacent cell, that is the d, and from here to here is I am taking as d, and from here the radius is added here, right? That's why here this is d plus r, because of the radius here is added. This is r and this is d, that is d plus r. Then see here, this is the radius is removed here, and this is the d minus r, the same as here. The radius of those cells is added here, that is d plus r, and here d, and this is also the d minus r. Then what is happens here, when we are reducing the co-channel interference reduction factor, that is the q value, the q is equal d by r. Then the q value is higher, then automatically there is less interference occurred in the co-channels. Then the value of here, the q is equal to high value and the q is equal to low value. Then this if it high, then less interference. When Q value is less, then sorry, the Q value is high here, and when Q value is low, then it is sorry. I am repeating once again. When the Q value, the co-channel interference reduction value is high, then there is less interference. When the co-channel interference reduction factor, the Q value is very less, then here the high interference is occurred. Clear? Then the fundamentals there. Then in fully equipped hexagonal shaped cellular system, there are always 6 channels interfering in the C here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here 1 is added here. 6 are here. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. One more channel is added here. Then automatically 6. So in a fully equipped hexagonal shaped cellular system, there are always 6 co-channel interference cells in this figure. See here. I am repeating once again here. In first tier of the cellular hexagonal shaped cellular system, there are only 6 co-channels interference. This is system 1, cell 2, cell 3, cell 4, 5, and 6, and this is the nearby cell. So these 6 cells are interfering with this cell. Next. So the co-channel interference ratio is the function of the radius of this. Already we discussed that this is Q is equal to D by R. It means the co-channel interference ratio is a function of the radius of the cell B. So here the radius of the cell B we are taking as a B here, and the distance between the center of the nearest co-channel cell, that is taking as D. By increasing the ratio, that is the D by R. So that means the Q, when we are increasing the Q value, the spatial separation between co-channel cells related to the coverage distance of the cell is increased. So thus interference is reduced. So it is nothing but when we are increasing the Q value, that means we are minimizing value of minimizing the distance between the co-channel, that is co-cells, and the radius is also here improved. Then automatically the co-channel interference reduction factor, that is Q value, automatically decreases. Then when the value is high, the Q value is high here. I am repeating once again here. When we are increasing the radius and decreasing the distance, then automatically the Q value will be increased. When the Q value is increased, then automatically the co-channel interference reduction, that is less interference will be occurred. Because of here we are giving for the distance, minimum distance for the better isolation. Then if the Q value is decreased, then automatically the interference will be occurred in the co-channels. The high interference will be occurs. Then so just now we discussed that the Q is equal to D by R here, and where D is nothing but here, the distance R is nothing but radius, where Ki. So see here, again the D is nothing but here we are taking as F of Ki into C by I. C by I here, the C by I is nothing but here carrier to interference ratio. We will discuss in the next topic here how to calculate the C by I. Then see here, the D is equal to F of Ki comma Ci. So we are here, the Ki is nothing but number of co-channel interference cells in the first tier, and the C by I is nothing but here the carrier to interference ratio. Then how we are calculating, already we discussed in the previous session, that is C is indirectly proportional to D power minus R, and the I is indirectly proportional to 1 by R power minus 4, or C is equal to the C is directly proportional to 1 by R power minus 4, or I is directly proportional to 1 by D power minus 4. Then we know the C value, we know the I value, then automatically we can calculate the carrier to interference ratio, that is C by I value. Then see here, we will calculate, right? The equation to calculate the carrier to interference ratio, that is C by I. So see here, the C by I value we have to derive here. Then how to calculate the carrier to interference ratio? So the C is indirectly proportional to 1 by R power 4, and the I is equal to 1 by I is indirectly proportional to D power 4. Is nothing but C power R power minus 4, or The I is directly proportional to d power minus 4. Then how to calculate C by I? Then C by I is equal d power minus 4 by, already we discussed that what is d minus r and d plus r, right? So the co-channel interference reduction factor is mainly depending upon the d and r only, right? So we know what is d minus r, what is d plus r, right? So from these values we are calculating the C by I ratio value, that is carrier to interference ratio, that is given as 2 into d minus r power minus 4 plus 2 into d power minus 4 plus d of 2 of d plus r power minus 4. This is the equation to calculate the carrier to interference ratio. Clear? Then the parameter Q is equal to d by r called the co-channel reuse ratio is related to the cluster size n. Right? Then when the size of each cell is approximately the same and the base station transmit the same power, then we have to calculate the Q value, that is Q is equal to 3n power 1 by 3. This is the equation to calculate the, when the size of each cell is approximately same, the size of each cell is same and the base station transmitter power is also same, then we have to calculate the co-channel interference reduction factor, that is Q is equal to given as 3 into n of n power 1 by 3. The small value of K provides large capacity, since the cluster size is n is small here because of 3 into n. So after here the co-channel interference, the same cell size, the base station size is same as well as the frequency also same, and nothing but transmitted power is also same. Then how to calculate the co-channel interference reduction factor, that is Q is nothing but here, that is based on the cluster size. So the cluster size already discussed that n is equal 4, 7, 12, right? So based on the cluster size only we can calculate the co-channel interference reduction factor, that is given calculated by Q is equal to d by r. We know d by r is for the normal, the different frequency size and different frequencies as well as different distances. But here the each cell is have the approximately same cell size as well as the transmitted power is also same. Then the Q factor, the Q values depends upon the cluster size, that is given as 3n power 1 by 3. Then the small value, the small value of K provides the large capacity because of here the cluster size is small only, right? Then the large value of K is given nothing but here the transmission quality, they improves the transmission quality because the co-channel interference reduction factor is automatically we can reduce the factor, right? The trade-off must be made between these two objects in the actual cellular design. So see here, the desired C by I from the normal case in a omnidirectional antenna system. Just now we discussed that how to calculate C by I. We are calculated C by I is in the form of, in the factors, that is distance and radius of the cell. But here the number of co-channel interference cell, that is given as the C by sigma K is equal to 1 to Ki into Ik. That is Ik is nothing but interference. The K is nothing but number of channels, group of channels in a cluster, that is given as Ik. Then K value is group of channels. The I is nothing but interference between those channels. Then again given here the maximum number of Ki in the first tier can be shown in the here. As here C by I is equal to R power minus 4 by, I am writing here C by I is equal to R power minus 4 by sigma K is equal to 1 to Ki into dk power minus 4. Next the 6 channels. For example here 6 channels are available. The interference cell the second tier cause weaker interference those the first tier, because the co-channel interference from the second tier of the interference cell is negligible. Then the C by I can be expressed as C by I is equal to 1 by sigma K is equal to 1 to Ki into dk by R is all e power minus 4 is also given as 1 by sigma K is equal to 1 to Ki into Qk power minus 4. So this is the equation to calculate the when the co-channel interference from the second tier interference the same cell is when it is negligible. To improve the system capacity, what are the factors we have to implement there? So as the demand for the wireless service increase, the number of channels assigned to a cell eventually becomes insufficient to support the required number of users. I am repeating, as the demand for the wireless service increases, when nowadays the wireless communication system is the wireless service is increasing, then the number of channel assigned to a cell is eventually becomes insufficient to a support to the required number of users. The techniques expand the capacity of a cellular system. So here one of the best method to improve the capacity of a cellular system, that is cell splitting. So here cell splitting is nothing but to increase the number of base station in order to increase the capacity. So this is the one of the best method to improve the system capacity, to increase the number of base stations. When we are increasing the number of base stations, then automatically we can increase the capacity of the system, right? Then the subdividing the congested cell into a smaller cells is nothing but here the concept of cell splitting here is nothing but the cell splitting a process of subdividing a larger cell into smaller cells which they each own base station. I am repeating, the cell splitting is nothing but it is one of the process. The process is nothing but here the large number of cell is splitting into the small cells with its own base station is called as the cell splitting. So when we are the process is started cell splitting, we are doing on cell splitting, new cells with smaller radius are added that called as the micro cell. So see here, this is the high power transmitter. This high power transmitter is splitting into small cells. Splitting into the small cells is called as the cell splitting. So if the large transmission power has its own base station, right? So when we are dividing the large substation or large cell into the smallest cells, then automatically we are assigning the small base station to the each cell. The smallest cell is called as here the micro cell. The each new cell is created independent and has reduced the antenna height and transmitter power. So when the cell splitting process we are doing the large cell into smaller cell its own base station, the large transmitted power is reduced to the small transmitter power, as well as the height of the antenna is also reduced. The creation of new smaller cells increase the capacity of a system as a whole system capacity automatically it improves. The cell splitting increases the frequency reuse factor. A higher frequency reuse factor increases the capacity of cellular system in the cell splitting. Then the advantage of the cell splitting is it increases the capacity of the channel considerably, enhance the dependability of cellular network, increase the frequency reuse factor, increase the signal to noise ratio, and reduces the interference. The next one is the disadvantage of this cell splitting here is for each individual cell we are assigning a base station, right? So an individual base station required to a huge number of base stations are needed to in this process, and handoff occurs frequently, and assigning channels is difficult when we are splitting the large cell into smaller cells. Then the next concept here to reduce the co-channel interference as well as to improve the system capacity, that is another method is sectoring. So the relies on the base station antenna placement to improve the capacity of reducing the co-channel interference. The sectoring here is the directional antenna can control the interference and the frequency reuse pattern. The cells are divided into the number of wedge-shaped sectors, each with its own set of channels, right? The cell splitting also same process. By wedge-shaped, we must need the cells are divided in the shape of the 120 and 60 degree angles only. These sectored cells are called as the micro cells. Like cell splitting, same cell splitting also nothing but here dividing the large number of stations into the small station. But here sectoring is nothing but we are dividing the wedge shaped, it means we are dividing the cells into 120 or 60 degree angles. So by using this one, it also helps to increase the channel capacity as well as it decreases the channel interference. Then the advantage of the sectoring increase the signal to noise ratio and the signal to interference ratio, which means the cluster size gets reduced. When the cluster size is reduced, then automatically the interference will be reduced. Then reduce the interference without alerting the system performance. When the sector process is introduced, then reduce the interference without alerting the system performance. Increase the channel capacity without necessarily changing the cell radius. No need to change the cell radius at the channels when we are doing the sectoring process. And it is also increases the frequency reuse by reducing the number of cells in the cluster, and assigning a channel is very easy according to the cell splitting. In the cell splitting, assigning a channel is very difficult, but here in sectoring, because of 120 or 60 degree angles, we are dividing the cell shape, right? So then it is easy to assign the channel. Now the disadvantage of increase the number of antennas per base station. When the sectoring is taking place, then we have to increase the number of the base stations, and it decreases the efficiency and sector reduce the channel groups. So excessive interference leads to the traffic loss. The number of handoff links at the working area of the cell decreases in the cell sectoring. And the coverage zone here, the distribute the coverage of each cell here, extend the cell boundary to hard to reach the places. Distributing the coverage of a cell, extend the cell boundary to hard to reach the destination place. So this is the sectoring. See here. Here 6 cells are happened here, that is in the form of 120 degrees, and here it is 60 degrees. So here we are dividing the 3 into 6 parts. This is the sectoring. The best example, see the image here. This is the sectoring here. This is 120 degree and this is the 60 degrees. So we are dividing here like this. So here this 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6 here. But here 1, 2 and 3 only. So 120 degree and here is 60 degree sectoring. Then cell splitting, already discussed the cell splitting, the process of subdividing larger cell into small cell. And see here, cell splitting process, how we are doing cell splitting. See here, this is one cell and we are dividing this complete cell into small cell here. Again one small cell is taken place here. And for here also, this is also one cell, and the cells is also here divided substations are here, base station. So here 1, 2, 3. So 3 cells are there. These cells are again splits into 4, 5 and 6. 3 more cells are added here, splitting. That is nothing but here the large number of cells is divided into small cell. That is cell splitting process. Right. See here. Again, just now we discussed that here. Here, see here only. This is called the single, the 4. Cell 4 is there now. Cell 4 is there, right? So this cell 4 is called as micro cell. Not only 4, 4, 5, 6, these cells. 4, 5, 6 are called as the micro cells. This is the cell splitting process. Cell splitting, the large number of cells are splitting into the small cells. I will give an example. This is the large cell here, right? This is the large cell. This large cells is splits into, see here, this is one cell. Here we take an adjacent cell here, and here another cell is there, and here it is another cell, and this one is another cell. Then see, so this one cell is splits into 1, 2, 3 along with the adjacent cell, that is 4, 5 and 6. So here one cell is splits into 6 small cells with each base station. One base station is converted into small, that is automatically the height of the antenna is reduced here, and one large cell is splits into the 6 small cells or small micro cells. The components of the cellular system, already we discussed that. Here we must also consider the EIA provides, the Electronic Industries Association standard provide the components of a cellular system. So the components are already we discussed in the first class, that is the mobile radio, antenna and cell set and base station and MTSO, the mobile telephone switching office, that is MTSO. So the basic components of the cellular system. And here we have to consider the antennas and antenna pattern, antenna gain and antenna tilting and antenna hide all the effects of the cellular system. When we are going to design your antenna, all the parameters we have to consider. That is antenna pattern, which type of pattern we are using to establish the base station, and which type, what is the gain, antenna gain, and what is the antenna tilting, and antenna, what is the antenna height. These are all the parameters we have to consider when we are designing a antenna. So the antenna pattern can be omnidirectional, directional, or any shape. So here we are going to, when we are implementing or when we are designing an antenna, that antenna either in omnidirectional or directional or any shape of the both vertical or horizontal planes. So the antenna gain compensates for the transmitted power from different antenna patterns of different gain, right? So automatically when the different gain is there, then automatically we have to consider only which type of antenna we have to do. So the mobile unit would affect the system performance and must be considered in the system design to according to the antenna gain only. So a novel microzone concept here, the zone concept is the zone sites are connected to a single base station and share the same radio equipment. Just now we discussed that a large cell is divided into a small cell. The small cell is called as the microcell, right? So each microcell has its own base station again. So the zone are connected by coaxial cable or optical fiber cable or micro link in the base station. Then the approach is superior to sectoring since antennas are placed at our outer edge of the cell. We saw in the previous the diagram, the adjacent cell also, the large cell is taking the adjacent cells microcell also, right? So it comparison to sectoring, the number of handoff can be reduced here by the microcells. These are the microcells. So by taking the adjacent, so this is the adjacents, right? These are the adjacent channel. This is the microcell concept. Oh, thank you. This is the today's topic. We will discuss in the next topic. We will come with the different topics. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.